Hello students, welcome to week 5 for COM 405, the rhetorical argument. This week we are looking at constructing our argument and looking at how it is affected and developed for an actual presentation. Looking at the week 5 agenda, it's important to know that we're reading through chapters 9 and 10 in our text, as well as watching 2 videos on the art of rhetoric, the persuasive techniques in advertising, and how to use rhetoric persuasively. So it's important that we keep that in mind as we're working through all of our assignments. Additionally, we have weekly review number 5 that's due this week, in addition to our oral rhetorical analysis. That is due as a discussion board. The original deadline has been extended to Saturday for the original post, and it has your reply post due on Sunday. So please note that that deadline is extended. As you're looking at weekly review number 5, it's important to know that there are 2 things you're going to do in constructing a 350 word to 400 word response in APA format. In that, you will be identifying and explaining how rhetoric-related opportunities and challenges arise in your rhetorical acts. Please know that a rhetorical act is what you're completing this week in your oral presentation. So this assignment is designed for you to complete after you do your rhetorical act, your presentation of your artifact, in a persuasive way. So after you've completed that, identify and explain how your opportunities, that's rhetoric related, and challenges arise within your performance. 2, what do rhetorers, that's you presenting the information, do to combat these etho challenges and capitalize on etho opportunities? So there's a lot of information within chapter 10 that provides that, and we'll be highlighting some of that today to keep in mind as you work through your weekly review number 5. Additionally, in your oral rhetorical analysis project, you are going to record a visual presentation that asks you to use the same artifact we've been writing about all semester. So the artifact we've done the identification for, the rationale, and the outline for is what you will be using to complete this assignment. You should utilize Screencast-O-Matic for this. This is the easiest program to utilize a PowerPoint and video combined presentation. In fact, that's what this lecture is developed using. And then it is uploaded to YouTube, and you can submit that very easily. If you're opposed to uploading it to YouTube, you can create a private screencast URL. When you are done completing your screencast, it'll ask you what you want to do with your video, and it says save as an MP4 file. Remember, that is not accepted. Or upload to YouTube or upload to screencast. Choose either of those options and provide the link within your discussion board. You can also create your YouTube links to be private if that's something that you're at all concerned about, to where only people that have the link can actually access it. And do know, after this assignment has been graded, you feel free to delete it if you need to from either website. Primarily, you need to include video and PowerPoint in your screencast. So if you know of another platform that you prefer to use, and as long as it shows PowerPoint and video feed, you'll be fine. The reason for this is, in a traditional classroom setting, rhetorical acts and presentations are completed in class. So we'll see your PowerPoint projected behind you and physically get to interact with you. Since this is a virtual setting, we need to create that experience as much as we can in order to allow that to happen. Please make sure your presentation is at least 3 to 5 minutes in length. However, you can go over that. I do know some of you have very detailed outlines and a lot of great information to get out there, and that's completely acceptable if you go beyond the 5-minute length. You should probably try to stay somewhere around 10 to 12 minutes at the most. However, you will not be deducted for going over the time requirement. You will be deducted if you are under the time requirement, though, so keep that in mind. And remember, post your original post no later than Saturday. You do have an extension, and replies are no later than Sunday. Some things to know when you're preparing the presentation. Like I said, treat this like a face-to-face presentation. In a traditional classroom setting, this would be presented over the series of a week in class, where students would take time presenting their presentation with about 15 to 20 minutes in their presentation. Doing this, we would do this multiple times in a traditional setting that was extended to a 16-week course. Since this is an 8-week course, we have condensed the material to a number of different ways, but really a rhetorical act or rhetorical presentation or oral analysis is something that's utilized in persuasive communication that's designed to help the students tailor and fine-tune their persuasive communication skills. Sometimes rhetorical performances are done within a debate setting where you're each given an artifact to analyze and each given a position on the artifact, either for or against it for simplistic terms, and then you have a certain amount of time to present that and then go back and forth with dialogue with one another. And that's what the idea of rhetoric is coming up with a persuasive stance on something and analyzing this act of communication against what you believe and your ideals are. Also, make sure you practice before recording. Go through it with a child, with a sibling, with a significant other, or husband, or family member, or friend, or just practice it with yourself in the mirror. Treat this like you would if you were presenting this live to us. And make sure you utilize video and audio feed. That is required. That is one of the things that you should be used within doing your screencast presentation of it. And know that YouTube is the easiest platform to upload to. I've done this many times with many different students and many different situations and contexts and many different courses, and I will tell you the easiest thing to do is to upload your presentation to YouTube. And so please do that. That'll save you a lot of time in the long run, especially if you do it directly through the screencast site or downloading the program for free on your computer. Additionally, it's important to look at some things from the text. I want to point out 2 areas from the text that are really important, not just for weekly review number 5, but also for preparing your presentation. The rhetoric and prior ethos. The rhetoric and prior ethos deals with attitudes towards the rhetoric prior to the rhetorical act. And so what that means is that audience attitudes that they may hold towards the presenter, which is the rhetoric, prior to their rhetorical analysis or something known as the rhetorical act. And what the text tells us is that this originates in 5 areas. So prior attitudes before you get in front of the screen originate either in the reputation or track record you hold on the topic, so how much knowledge you have in the content area, your appearance, believe it or not, how professional you come off. That's why I said you need to treat this very seriously as if you were presenting it in class. So think about that, the background, how you utilize your video software, if you're using your laptop versus a phone. If you're using a phone to record, which is acceptable, maybe not the best thing, do not hold it like this. Hold it in landscape mode. When you upload it to YouTube, it'll cut half of your video off. So hold it like this. Have somebody record you, even if you do it with a phone if you can. If you are using Screencast-O-Matic, it will project your webcam and then project your PowerPoint slide, which is the easiest thing to do. Also know how the rhetoric is introduced to the audience is very important. So how you introduce your, how you introduce yourself prior to presenting your topic is also important, as well as the context in which the rhetorical act occurs. So how is this act presented? And then lastly, the occasion. So 4 and 5 don't apply to us too much in this particular context, but they are important in general. It's important to know, and just to recap, that ethos is an attitude, that impressions or images people have from the source of a message, like all attitudes, tell us a lot about the credibility of the rhetoric. So the source of the message is really the rhetoric, and whether the individual is a medium or an institution really help in the audience accepting or rejecting the message. So people are more likely to accept a message from somebody they feel they can relate to than something they feel that they cannot relate to. So if I were to stand up and tell you about some major change, you may relate to it more based off of my credibility, my reputation, my track record with the subject, than if there was someone else that was unrelatable or seen as an institution based off of what it was telling you. As we also go forward, it's important to look at rhetoric-related opportunities and challenges. And what this tells us in the text is this gives us some insight, particularly on pages 234 to 238, about opportunities and challenges that arise for you when delivering your message. So remember, prior ethos is very important. Your reputation, appearance, your introduction, occasion, context play a huge role in how your message is received, as well as ethos from the rhetorical act itself. So the expertise, how your expertise comes off, your trustworthiness is projected, as well as your dynamicism, as well as your identification with the topic. So it's really important to keep those things in mind as you are moving through the context the content this week and developing your oral rhetorical analysis. Lastly, let's just recap the week 5 agenda so we can remember briefly. We're reading chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 10 has a lot of great information about preparing your oral rhetorical analysis, as well as watching the 2 videos listed. We're completing weekly review number 5, as well as knowing that you have an extended deadline on your oral rhetorical analysis original post to Saturday. So the actual thing is not due till Saturday night now, and you can post your replies no later than Sunday. Please know that if you have any questions or any troubleshooting, contact me prior to late Saturday night. Try working on that a little earlier so you can get that done and we can troubleshoot some of those things before it becomes the wee hours of the weekend. If you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to viewing all of your oral presentations in the coming week. God bless.